Hello everyone, I have an art journal spread to share with you today with the Thompson's Craft Supplies design team using the August Celebrate Good Times kit. This one is a very bright and colourful and messy one, and I've already pre-gessoed my pages. I didn't bother showing you that because, you know, I do it every time. And I'm going to go in with lots and lots of different colours and different types of colour medium to sort of create a rainbow effect on this one. I started off using some Lindy's Magicals, and as lovely as they are, they do struggle on the surface of my art journal because it's very wrinkly, really, and in some places they're not quite as bold as they need to be, but that's what I started with. Now I'm going to tell you now, as I said, I'm going to use lots and lots of different types of colour mediums and stuff on here, so I'm not going to remember offhand all of the names. So all of the names of the colours and the different things I've used are going to be down in the description box for any that I forget or quite possibly and likely get wrong. So yes, as I said, I'm trying to create a rainbow effect. Started off with my Lindy's. Some of the colours work better than others. You can see the green one and the tealy one has gone really well. The blue goes quite well, if a bit. As I said, because my art journal is very wrinkly, because it's nearing the end of its possible lifespan at the moment, obviously the colour just gathers in the wrinkles kind of thing, and that's not necessarily the greatest thing. Down at the bottom left there where I wanted my red colour, I've used Heidi Shine in Cherry, but I always do this. I forget that Heidi Swapp colour shine is not generally very good, especially on the darker colours, in doing sort of blocks of colour. Where I've sprayed the yellow there, that's Heidi in Butter, and that does way better than the red. Don't ask me why, but the lighter colours are better than doing spraying stuff than the darker colours. The darker colours, generally speaking, are only good for splattering, but I always forget this. I've put Lindy's in the bottom right there for my purple, and I know it's a total mess at the moment. Just stick with me. That is some mustard Heidi. I've got some, I'm going to add some Dylusions. The Dylusions I really should have just started with, because for this kind of thing, generally speaking, it is kind of the best thing to use, but I did have to be careful and kind of do a bit at a time in order to prevent creating mud. But yes, I know what you're thinking right now. Look, just like, Grace, what are you doing? You are just making a total mess. But you know what, for me, that's kind of what art journaling is making a total mess. That's the therapeutic aspect of it. Like, if I wanted to create fine art, I'd grab some Winsor and Newton watercolours and a beret and then go and paint a pretty lake or something. That's not to say I'll never do art journaling with a bit of finesse, but I like to, you know, make a mess. Anyway, I did go in with some Distress Oxide there and to cover up the red area, because it really wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And it still looks like total chaos at the moment, and it is actually going to end up looking like total chaos, to be honest, but slightly better total chaos. Anyways, this tissue paper I'm using here, that was one of the Thompson's kits, not this one, I don't remember which one, but basically the kit was wrapped in this tissue paper, and I always keep that kind of thing because it ends up being handy for stuff like this. So anyway, it was a rainbow stripe, which was perfect for this kind of thing I was creating here. So I'm just ripping up bits and putting them down on there. I'm using first edition Deco Mash glue. You don't have to use that by any means. You could just use simple PVA mixed with a bit of water ideally. I'm just using it because I have it, you know, I have it available, but gel medium would do fine, just whatever you want really. So yes, those are all just random scraps. I did kind of in some places put the rainbow stripes in the right colour area, so to speak. You can see the big one on the right page there, kind of the green and the blues are in the right places, but I didn't concentrate too hard on doing that. I'm going to do some stenciling here just with this star stencil that is from my stash, first with some Nouveau embellishment mousse, and I can't think of the name of the colour. As I said, it will be in the description box. Because my surface is very, very uneven, the stenciling isn't perfect, as you can see, but you get the idea that it's stars. They're just quite splodgy stars in places. And then I'm going to add some Nouveau glimmer paste. This is the gold one. Because it's quite a narrow little jar, I have to like get it out with one spatula thing and then use my Prima silicone brush to put it on, which is why I've got an extra thing, just in case you're wondering what I was doing there. And then, yeah, just having that bit of gold for that sort of sparkly shininess going on there. The whole thing about this art journal spread was, well, obviously the kit is called Celebrate Good Times, and if I'm completely honest with you guys, I was in a really bad mood on the day that I was creating this. Just, you know, it happens sometimes. You're grumpy and you're in an angry mood, and it happens. So I wanted to just create something to just kind of cheer me up. And what's more cheerful than a rainbow, really? I don't know. So I went with the rainbow. Obviously, it's not in perfect rainbow order. It's kind of all over the place, but we've got all the colours, so it's fine. Then I am taking lots and lots of the cut apart bits from the kit, and I wanted to use that bit that said the more you celebrate your life, the more there is in life to celebrate. I wanted that to be my sort of main thing on my spread, so to speak. I cut it down as small as I could. I decided to keep those strips on the top and the bottom of it as well, because I thought those were quite nice. But yeah, I cut it down as much as I could, and I just still couldn't fit it on the page. So I just went, hang on a minute. There is absolutely no reason whatsoever, just because this is a notebook, that I have to have the spread horizontal. There's, you know, I don't have to do that. There's no reason. There's no rules. So I was like, let's do it vertically, and then I can fit them on how I want to. So yeah, it sounds like the most obvious thing in the world, just to flip your book the other way around. But, you know, just never struck me before as that was a thing to do. So anyways, slight revelation that day of turning something over. I have distressed the edges of that, as I always do. I've added Distress Oxide in black soot around my main titly thing, I suppose you could call it, just because the black obviously really stands out against the rainbow background. I've got Celebrate Every Day as well, and I'm going to put the... Oh, you know what? I was going to Google before I started this voiceover how to pronounce that straw stuff, and I completely forgot, and I said I would do it in the last video. I would Google it before the next time I used it, and I'm going to write it down. Must Google how to pronounce. Anyway, that pink straw stuff, I'm going to have a load of that behind my title thing. Title doesn't sound right for an art journal spread, but that's kind of what it is, I suppose. Anywho, that's going on with a load of gloss gel. Yeah, just putting loads and loads of it down. I'm kind of ripping it up into smaller pieces because they're slightly easier to handle than the really long stuff. I mean, no matter what, you're going to get little scraps and shreds of that stuff everywhere. Every time I use it, I find it for days and days afterwards. Little pink bits of... Anyways, there it is. I've ripped up a couple... This is another paper from the kit. It's the one that had like the Ferris wheels and the roundabouts on it. This is the B side of that, and I've just ripped up a couple of pieces just to kind of add a bit more colour and interest and backing to some of my extra little phrases and stuff. And I've put Distress Oxide in dum-da-dum peacock feathers around the edge of that. Just, again, wanted it to stand out, but not as much as the main title kind of thing. And because that's going on the area of the page, or the pages that's, you know, the warm colours, then the peacock feathers stands out more against that than it would against the blue. I think that makes sense. Anyways, what I've done here is pulled out some ephemera. I have a box of just like random ephemera that doesn't really fit anything else, and pulled out a couple of bits from that, like that arrow, and there's that little acetate arrow triangle shape I've put down and then picked back up again. And then this ephemera I'm going through that's in a pile on the left, I've totally forgotten what brand it is. I think I got it off eBay. I've had it for a bajillion years, but it's very bright and summery, and I thought some of it would go really nicely with this spread, with all the bright colours and stuff. And the acetate balloons, I really wanted to include those, but where I'd put that acetate arrow, not arrow, triangle thing, is like the only place I could have put the balloons, because they only really show up with that green paper behind them. So that's why I moved that and put those down. They've got that arrow, that's from my box of random ephemera. I did pull out some ephemera from the kit, but I have already used most of it. I am going to use this little, there we go, that little musical note there to go next to Let's Dance, because I thought, you know, that was appropriate. And I decided tiny words were needed for this layout, so just layout spread. I always say the wrong thing and call it layout, but just positive words like inspire and shine and what's that say, happy, you know, positive things like that. As I said, I kind of did this to cheer myself up, and I will say it worked. Those word stickers actually are from the Plump Planner, of all places. I have no idea if she still does them. I will link the shop just in case though. And then I wanted to add some enamel dot type things, but I decided instead of using Nuvo drops, I would use the Dovecraft equivalent, the Pearl Effects, just because the ones I have, they are the brights. They were just more suited to this spread. They're more metallic and really loud, bright colours. So I've used those just in various places, kind of in those lines in ascending or descending size kind of thing, and I do enjoy using, as I always say when I use the Dovecraft ones, when you have to flick them from underneath the page to flatten them out, it's very enjoyable. But something to keep in mind when you use them, to leave enough of a gap between the dots you've put down, just to, you know, make sure when you flick them they're not going to run into each other. I think some of my blue ones did a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. I added the black ones up the side like that. I just thought needed a little more black on this spread just to sort of tie it all in together. And then, surprise of all surprises, I'm going to finish with sequins. I'm not actually using the ones from the kit because we had enough colours on this spread, let's be honest. So I just stuck with gold because gold was just needed. Gold goes with everything really, doesn't it? And so yeah, these are just standard gold sequins from my stash, and I'm just going to add those kind of all over the place really. So that, I think, is it. So as I said, it's a very, very messy spread. It is not fine art by any stretch of the imagination, but it was fun to create and it really lifted my mood. So yeah, that's really great, and that's kind of partially the point of like either art journaling and this kit as well, about celebrating and being happy and positive things in life. So there we go, I am finished. As I said at the beginning, I'll add as many links in the description of all the bajillion things I used. I'm not looking forward to finding those links, I'm going to be honest, but I shall do it. And then obviously links to the kit and everything. The next kit is going to be out soon, so keep an eye out for that. And I think other than that, yes, I'm pretty much done. Please leave me a thumbs up if you enjoyed. Chat to me in the comments. I am going to go. Thank you so much for watching again. Bye bye!